It's good to be back and welcome to On the Record. I'm Jerome Sawyer. The 2026 general election is upon us, and tonight we're leaning into the questions people are asking at the grocery store, at the pump, in the group chat, and on the street. We've invited representatives from the three major parties to ask them where they stand and what are their party's plans to make life better, especially as the voting population prepares for the polls. This is a political roundtable, and the goal tonight is simple: open dialogue, clear stances, and practical solutions. With us, representatives who say they understand their party's position and plans, so we're focusing on the issues voters keep ranking top of mind. There's a lot to get to, but stay tuned. Our show begins on the other side of this break. This is On the Record, and tonight we are pleased to welcome our guest, Kyle Dean, representing the governing Progressive Liberal Party, along with Denarii Rolle. He's a candidate for Pinewood, representing the Free National Movement, and Sharmaine Adderley, candidate for Golden Gate, representing the Coalition of Independents. Lady, gentlemen, welcome to On the Record.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Think for all of you, this is your first time in the studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're glad to have you. I always have to have a disclaimer when I know someone, just so that they are aware of the relationship as we go forward. So Sharmaine and I went to university together. I won't say how long ago or what year, but it's good to have you, good to see you. And
likewise.
Glad to see you have entered the fray of politics. Mm-hmm. All right, so folks, I want to again thank all of you for taking this opportunity and coming. And before I get into my questions, I'm going to just use the opportunity to thank you in a different way. Very often, we cannot get the political parties to come together in this setting. When we started this show 10 seasons ago, it was to provide a platform for debate. Unfortunately, over the years, we have found it increasingly difficult to get people to come together to debate each other openly. It seems that as a society, we are happy to send out press releases and talk to the media and make statements without getting into a forum where we can defend, debate, and even explain what it is that we are trying to do. Whether it be as political groups or other groups, getting people to sit together and debate and talk in this society is it never really was something we did, but it is increasingly difficult. So I want to thank you all for agreeing, and I want to thank your respective parties who we had to ask permission for you to be here. So I do want to thank you for that. Okay, so that's my soapbox moment. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to provide each of you an opportunity to speak to the issues and give your party's perspective on a lot of issues. First up, cost of living. Everywhere we go, there is a discussion about the cost of living. I want to talk a little bit about how each of your parties plan to address this cost of living crisis, I call it, where people aren't just surviving right now, going in, just trying to buy basic things, pay utilities, and wages are not matching what is happening, in the space. So, Sharmaine, I will start with you.
Thank you so much, Jerome. Congratulations on your show. And it's like we said, we did go to college together, and great to see where you came from, WAUG, and all the life. And so it's quite interesting, and I'm so proud to see you here.
Thank you.
As it relates to the cost of living, this is the reality right now that is hard for Bahamians. All of us, we can feel it. I mean, I just ran to the gas station before I came up here, and I'm like, in the U.S., I have a family member who says that they're spending like $2 or almost $2 for a gallon of gas. But here, we over $5, almost $6, and at Family Islands is even more. And then you go to the grocery store, the cost of living. I mean, basic items. You take $100 in the shop for basic stuff. You might as well call that gone. You might as well donate that to the food store. But at the end of the day, Jerome, the way to deal with the cost of living is to first of all look at producing our own food. We are importing over $1 billion worth of food. $1 billion. We're importing too much stuff. And if we start to get to the mindset of producing more, we have major islands like Andros, tons of land mass that we can take advantage of. We saw the attempt to produce eggs. I don't know if we saw the first one from that program, but hopefully we'll see something happen. However, all of these things need to be done to impact the cost of living. And of course, take VAT off, remove VAT. I believe that it's been a failure for the Bahamian people, and it's fluctuating. We've heard that it may be taken off fully. Praise God, that's good. But however, we have to seriously deal with these issues.
All right, thank you. Kyle, your party has been saddled with this issue of the cost of living. And to be fair, this is a global issue. It is not something that is unique to the Bahamas, but yet we face into it every day.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you started off with that. The high cost of living is a complaint that is seen around the world. I was looking at some TikTok videos in Barcelona where people were protesting because the cost of rent has skyrocketed there in Spain. And so this is a global issue. And so I want to applaud the government of the Bahamas because they had reduced VAT to 0% beginning in April. One of the things that we have done as well, the government has done, is reduce the cost of tariffs at the border, which translates into savings in the Bahamians' pocket. Another thing that we did was we increased the breadbasket item list. And so when you would have compared the list before, the list had more unhealthy foods like corned beef and stuff like that, which was directly impacting the health of the larger population. And so what this government did was they expanded the breadbasket item list. They added meats, they added fruits, they added healthy foods so that in order to increase the price, you would have to go through the government and it has to be justified. One of the things that when we came into office, you would see that we have gotten a lot of blowback from the big supermarkets and stuff like that. And that is because the government realized that, in order to protect its people's pockets, you have to kind of bring a level of control to the cost of food items. One of the other things that we had done was we increased minimum wage. Now, I know people may say the $2.60 isn't enough, but the government's plan is to go towards a livable wage. And that is something that has to be done incrementally. So I just want to applaud the Davis administration because the second increase since it was actually implemented, the two increases is because of the PLP administration. So I just want to applaud the Prime Minister and the Minister of Labor for that. And so, one of the things that Ms. Adderley said is we have to produce. The government has been making major investments into farming. However, I believe that we struggle with the mindset as a Bahamian people to buy American, to buy foreign. And so I believe that if more Bahamians were getting into producing food, we get into farming, and we could change our mindset to buy and invest and to just go local, we could see a significant decrease in the cost of living.
All right. I agree with you in many ways. I think we need to begin to change our mindset towards all things Bahamian, not just those produced. But so, Denarii, you have heard the responses now. What would the FNM do if given the opportunity?
It's a pleasure to be here once again. Thank you for having me. Just before I touch on that rather quickly, Jerome, if you don't mind, just for a minute, because I'm represented publicly and I'm now a public official, I just wanted to set the record straight rather quickly as it relates to myself. As a leader and now the Free National Movement candidate for Pinewood, three key pillars I carry with myself: accountability, integrity, and transparency. It is against that backdrop that when I decided and I prayed that I would offer for public service, and doing my serving that I carry those things with me. It's this public spectacle about my employment status. And so I just want to set the record and make it clear. not only as an upstanding employee of Water and Sewage, I am also a manager, and not only a manager, I am the vice president of the management union. We are tasked with fighting and making sure that the interests of employees are represented and due process and following protocols is in order. And so with that being said, I just want the Bahamian people to know that that is the same approach I took when I came to my leave. I immediately went to the provisions in the industrial agreements that water and sewage are governed by. More specifically, I'll quote USU Article 1311, which is political leave to vie for national election. Employees vying for national election are to be given time off without pay to prepare for the same upon request. Such persons are to resume their duties within 1 month after the election if they are unsuccessful. And so I would have followed that protocol, I would have made the request, and now I sit here on political leave following due process.
Without pay?
Yes, without pay. It's a leave without pay. Yes, the article says without pay, so I'm now on leave without pay, just following due process and protocol because I believe in accountability, transparency, and integrity, and that's what I bring to the people of Pinewood and politics.
Thank you. Now that means that cut into your time to answer.
No problem. Just rather quickly on the cost of living, on
Yes.
the cost of living aspect, definitely. We've been calling from 2021. The Davis administration bragged about the fact that they reduced VAT. What they forgot to say was they put 10% straight across the board. The hypocrisy of them is that you could hear them brag about the fact that this is the most VAT that they've ever collected, which clearly indicates more money coming in because with this alleged lowering of the tax. The FNM firmly believes in going back to what we had, reducing the VAT on bread basket items. As Carl mentioned, he said the government cares about healthy food. Then why did they leave out medication? Because we also had VAT zero rated on medication. And so if you say you expand the healthy list, then why you won't touch medication? Again, this government plays this double standard, double-edged hypocrisy sword. What ain't good for the goose is not good for the gander, and that's how they operate. But we firmly believe in, and like we've called for now, they say they'll do on April 1st, they now quote-unquote going to zero. We don't think it's a major impact, too little, too late. And then one a biggest issue that a lot of Bahamian faces right now is, we don't know if they call it BPL or Pike, but this issue with electricity now. They have doubled the cost of electricity, so over 800 kilowatts you're paying, from 10 cents you're now paying 21 cents, that's 114% hike. They have doubled the cost of electricity simply because they stopped, reviewed, and canceled the fuel hedging program that had us paying some of the lowest electricity bills we've seen in quite some time. And so we believe that going back to some of the policies we had, will definitely assist with the cost.
Carl, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer really, and in the context of how are we going to address this VAT issue and going back to the rising costs, because that is an issue that people are facing every day, whether it's at the border, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's with electricity.
Well, let me reiterate one thing. We reduced tariffs at the border on foods, and we are also moved to 0% VAT. But let me share. Let me respectfully share this, right? The FNM brags about VAT being off of bread basket item foods. But let me give you the list that when they were in power, the bread basket items: it's butter, cheese, cooking oil, corned beef, evaporated milk, flour, grits, margarine, mayonnaise, and rice. This is the message that they are bragging about. So let me go to this electricity to the dilemma that he spoke about. Yes, electricity has always been a crisis in this country. The crisis did not just started under the Davis administration. But I am proud to say that there is a comprehensive energy plan happening right now. If you go in the back of Pride Estates, you could see the land being cleared for the first ever BPL solar plant. Never in the history of this country have we had this approach to revamping the entire energy sector in this country. It was something that they couldn't do. The hedge fund was only a temporary solution. What we needed was an upgraded grid, upgraded transmission, and diversified energy. So under this new program, we'll have solar, we'll have LNG, and we'll have the regular fuel.
Sharmaine, I'll allow you to bring this portion of the discussion to it, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah. It's amazing to me because the two parties that I'm sitting next to, FNM and PLP, initially with VAT, the then Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, said that, VAT, told Prime Minister Christie, VAT is lazy, a bad way to raise funds, but you shouldn't bring VAT on the people. So when he got into office, he increased VAT. My thing is, if you were in such disagreement with it in the beginning, why not get rid of it? So all this talk about VAT this and VAT that, it hurts me because the average Bahamian hears these discourses, and at the end of the day, they're not being remedied. And then now the PLP is talking about free, doing all this amazing things with electricity, when we know they came in saying that there's going to be free electricity. And so now you're going to, excuse me, my turn. And so it was in the newspapers.
Let's be truthful.
According to the papers, it was the headline read.
The administration never promised free electricity. Let's just be truthful.
She said,
I'm not being truthful. I never interrupted you.
Cool. Yeah, let us speak, man.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This is Mr. Sawyer's show.
Go ahead. Finish your point. I'll give you a second to rebut.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, they indicated that there would be free electricity. And now we see you're going to wait until a few months before the next election to say, now we're going to start doing what we should have done from the onset of your governance. This was a major issue always for the Bahamian people. And then now when we talk about trying to deal with it, this is why we need a COI government, because both of them has had multiple opportunities to deal with these issues over these years of governance, and it's still not remedied.
All right, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond.
So let me just say this to correct Ms. Adderley. The Davis administration never promised free electricity like she's trying to insinuate. We promised a comprehensive electricity plan, and it is happening now. So I just want us to be truthful,
free though.
and I just want the Bahamian people to understand the COI is masters of illusion and misinformation.
All right. So let's move forward now. I want to talk about small businesses. Small businesses consistently complain about fees, delays, and red tape. I'm going to start with you. What, given an opportunity to govern for another 5 years, all right, how is your party addressing that concern? The things that are causing the bottlenecks, and small businesses to complain about how difficult it is to do business, the costs that are heaped upon them. I hear it all the time. How is that going to be addressed in a second term, or is it going to be addressed in a second term?
Like I said before, one of the things that businesses, I'm a business owner myself, so I understand some of the frustrations that business owners face. But one of the frustrations that is heavy is the cost of energy. And one of the things that I can tell you is energy is killing a lot of businesses. The cost of it.
It's killing consumers.
It's killing consumers. But I mean, we talking about businesses.
Yeah, you're right.
And so this isn't a new phenomenon. This has been a complaint for decades, right? And so one of the things, again, that we go back, what we need is a comprehensive energy plan to deal with such things. Then we have the SPDC. Now, I give credit to the former administration. I like to give credit with it, where it's the former administration started the SPDC, right? The Davis administration took it on, and they increased the funding through it. So you see a lot of businesses getting grants, they getting loans, they getting a lot of stuff to make their businesses better. But one of the things that I have realized is that a lot of businesses really don't know what is out there. For people who want to get into manufacturing, there's the industry's encouragement. There's hotels encouragement. So there are a lot of stuff, policy-wise and law-wise, that is out there for businesses to benefit from. And so one of the things that I would like to see, and I hope happens, is we begin to educate small businesses on what they have access to
but
build.
Here is my question, though, and I go back to this. What is being done to address the red tape? What is being done to address the burdensome requirements on businesses? You talked about it yourself, but when I hear people talking about the fact that they have to have, and this is a real thing, they have to have their business audited every year, and you're talking about maybe an average of about 30,000. Those are the things that affect day-to-day business. So again, my question is, and I hear about the SPDC, and I know that there are things out there, funds that people can access, but is there a plan to address some of the burdensome issues that businesses face every day?
Well, so let me talk about there are some stringent stuff that are in place. From my understanding, you have to make a certain amount in order to really have an audit, like a CPA audit. So it isn't applied straight across the board.
No. No,
to
but if
everybody.
you are, let's say, if you
However-
are in a business that is cash heavy, that is making that, money that has passed that threshold, that 30,000 on top of your bills, that's a lot of money.
No, and I understand. But for what I know to be the case, government have to tighten up on the rules and regulations that already existed.
There's a lot of leakage out there as well.
There's a lot of leakage, and one of the things that we demand as a citizen are things like brand new roads, new hospitals, stuff like that. And so you cannot adequately provide stuff if government is hemorrhaging liquidity. And so although I understand that inland revenue is coming down hard on people, they came down hard on me too. So they are coming down hard on people.
Really?
But like I tell people, you need to go to the United States and you don't pay your real property tax, Uncle Sam coming for your stuff.
Sure.
And so I believe the culture of lack of enforcement, let me just say it like that, and now you coming to enforce, it seems very burdensome. But what I would like to see happen is that, you have to begin to work with business owners because you lacked the enforcement. And so you have to give some level of grace in order for people to kind of adjust.
We've got to move. Denarii, I want you to get in on this discussion. Yes. And some of these things, to the point, they're not new.
Yeah.
No. And they've carried over from administration to administration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, in this particular case, I just think the PLP was a dismal failure. And the FNM track record is clearly better than them. Like Carl mentioned, we would have started the SPDC, which is to empower a lot of entrepreneurs, and you would have seen entrepreneurship take off 2017 under the FNM through the SPDC and the grants, the assistance, the training they needed, and the assistance to get started. Another issue that this PLP government refuses to tell you is that we had a system in place. You could have applied online, get your business license within 24 hours, everything was digital. The PLP, again, they came and they stopped that. So now with the DIR at the inland revenue, you have to apply, and then it's so bad that the workers in the system don't even know how to work the system properly because it's so unorthodox.
But you're still able to apply to these things online, eh?
Yeah, so you could do it online, but the way it's done now is completely different from the transparent way it was done before. It was way easier, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I had to put in for a business license, and the work I was dealing with didn't even know how to use the system, and I had to double click this and go back that, and then wait for Respawn to deal with my case and all this when it was a 1-2 click of my shoe at the gum drop. Get your business license. And so I think we need to, though, outside of that applying process, the FNM intends to digitize the entire system from top down. So whether you're in the Family Island, whether you're in Nassau, no matter where you are, it's a one-stop shop for how you can do business. So the digitization also limits the face-to-face interactions, so you could be able to upload all your documents online, update your financial statements online, update any other addition, like any other information that case needs, which you could put with the fully digital process.
Clear, you're saying this is not happening now?
No.
Let me.
The bureaucracy in government.
I want to challenge you on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying.
That's not true.
Now, if you're saying that it is slow, yes. If you're saying that people are responsive, but to say that it is not, that you're not able to upload your
I'm not saying. What I'm
true.
saying is the entire system is not fully digitized.
Oh, come on now.
Everything is not digitized at
Don't
inland
do that.
revenue.
Don't do that.
So why I say that too is, Jerome, like just for example, then if everything is digitized, then why do armed officers have to go in stores to confirm audited or confirm financials if these things are done online? What could be done online?
Going into a store, I don't agree with that. But gentlemen, you have had your time.
Yes.
So Sharmaine, I'd like you to jump in on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to sit between those two, by the way, because I knew
the
this
roads.
was, I had to be the rules, So the COI's vision for entrepreneurs is going to be very simple. We, like you said, this has been going on for successive administrations, and they will be here forever and a day, back and forth, talking about it, when the Bahamian people are sitting outside saying, get the crazy out. Foreigners can come in this country, start a business
how would
at the
the
drop of a
COI
hat.
fix it?
The
How would you
COI,
change it?
we're gonna target banking. We're gonna ensure that through the banking system and the creation of about bringing back the sovereign wealth fund to ensure finances are there for Bahamians. One thing, again, as far as technology, it's already digitized. So that's one thing I can't fault anyone for, because it's been digitized. So at the end of the day, We have to really get serious about the funding that businesses need and get rid of the red tape. Those two things right there will alleviate a lot of the crazy happening for entrepreneurs. And I am also an entrepreneur. I've gone through this. I know it. It's not easy. It's a bunch of red tape. And it's been like that for years.
All right, folks, we've got to move on. We've got a lot to get to it in a short time. One of the reasons I wanted to do this show really was to talk to young voters. We have, as you hear the reports, the voter registration is up. People seem to be interested in getting it there. A lot of young people are looking towards this election. But a lot of young people out there are not working, or they are working in jobs just to make ends meet. I want to begin, Denarii, with you, speaking to the young people, and what opportunities will your party bring for those young people who are out there who feel disenfranchised, who may just be working to get a paycheck, or are not working at all and are outside of the fray and outside of the system. This is a country now 51 years into independence. We have generations behind us who are looking for their stake and don't feel like they have a stake.
And so when you talk about youth getting involved just generally and believing in their country again, I think when you look up at the makeup now of the F&M team that is on the way as well, this will probably be the most under 40 candidates you see represented or offering themselves on behalf of any political organization.
But how is that going to translate now to these young people?
Okay, so I think the transition is with the under 40 candidates like myself, me being one, we understand the challenges and we understand some of the things we would have faced coming up in governance, coming up in the country. So we are now that voice for what it is that we want to see, and we helping now shape policy and create ideas that we know could relate to people like us. So for example, just simple training program and the necessary funding. So instead of spending all these unnecessary money on these consultants that just gives example, you spend 220 minutes on consulting, that could be now used as a youth training agency program to enhance the young people, to give them the necessary skills that they need to attack the workforce and make way for themselves. We could use some of that funding to empower them in their entrepreneurship journey. So we could expand on the funding that some of the small business or those looking to start in businesses, we have more money to now invest in them. And we are now able to communicate at their level, because now when we sit and we hear some of the things that they want to do, we are the buffer to translate to the party in a sense to say, this is the message and this is what they want, and we are here to champion this cause on their behalf. And so when you look at the necessary training, taking the funding, prioritizing, we've been calling for, please prioritize your spending. This government have a habit of just splurging on everything else other than what makes sense. And so if we take something, like I said, take some of that consultation money, put it into the training, put it into youth program, invest in our young people, you will start to see a change, and that's what we are committing to.
Sharmaine, yeah.
I believe at the end of the day, we talk about splurging. You can't blame them, because the two of y'all do the same thing. You all splurge. Both of y'all. See, you looking at what voice? You shouldn't be doing it at all. This is the public people's, this is the Bahamian people's money. It should not be splurged.
Get him. Agree him.
So we have to get rid of this. Is the same mentality. This is our country.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just reminiscing a bit with Jerome before we came on air about what we had as Bahamians in Rolle, in our university. We had something so beautiful, and that, Jerome, is what I look to bring to this country.
And what is?
Because we were young people, we were together, we were focused, we believed, and now just look at, just even looking at where we are serving our country in our various capacities.
So given an
young
opportunity,
people,
what would the COI do to address
for young
that
people, the
gap?
first thing I'm doing, because I work with youth, I'm a teacher, and I've been involved in sports, different subject matter areas in business. And one thing I've challenged my students to do as we enjoy education and learning is to be better than me. I tell them, if I didn't make you and challenge you to be greater and believe in the ability you've been given by God, then at the end of the day, I think I've failed. And so my students, I believe, by God's grace, that they come out ready to go, ready to come forward. I see some of my former students sitting in banks as managers. I don't look that old, but this happens to be one here, so he can talk. And so I believe we have to inspire our generation of young people. They don't believe they are disenfranchised with just the way the country has been going for them. The first thing the COI is going to do is we're going to give them something called hope again. to believe in who they are as young Bahamians. We had our university on lock. We even had our own area in the cafeteria. And we had Americans trying to be Bahamians. That's the kind of culture I want to bring back to Bahamians. And sense of nationalism.
All right. Carl,
And funding.
skills, access, wages, connections, all of these things young people are looking for.
Yes.
What is your party's fix for this?
All right, I glad we came to me because I didn't hear no plan from the COI.
There's a plan.
No plan from
We
the
have- we
FNM.
go
But
on
This
line.
is your time.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, but
Go ahead.
You show me you failed because you're filling it in.
All right, give me up your time.
Let
Jimmy.
me,
Go
let
ahead.
me
Go ahead.
speak, let me speak to
Yeah.
some of the successes we've had. National Training Agency, that's a PLP's plan. It's a PLP's baby. You know, it was birthed specifically for young people who may not have the necessary BJCs and BGCSEs to get them employable skills. We did that. When it came to COB, right, we did that. Conversion of COB to University of the Bahamas, we did that. BTVI and its expansion currently in the islands, we did that. The medical school going up in Freeport. Look at Upscales Bahamas, where you have more than 8,000 young Bahamians signed up, including myself. Signed up,
Yeah.
right? More than 8,000 young persons signed up for free skills, right? And so what I believe that we must do, enrollment at the University of the Bahamas is up. So there has
Because we made it
there
free.
has been an expansion of education straight across the board, right? There has been an expansion of access to funding for young people who own businesses. SBDC funding is up. Young people accessing the resources that the government is affording to them. And so what I think needs to happen is more young people need to get in, more young people need to access what is already there, become employable. One of the things as an employer that I've found is when I look at a resume that comes on my desk and I look at the skills and the education, a lot of people, sadly to say, a lot of young people do not have employable skills. And so the answer to the dilemma in terms of young people is getting them employable, and this government has been doing that. This is an emotionalism like the COI and the FNM. The FNM hasn't
what you
given a
want.
plan. The COI is emotional. The
You gotta
FNM
wrap
hasn't
up.
given
We
a
got to go
plan.
to the break. Come
Yeah,
on.
everything
my
starts
God.
with
You at the finish
hope.
line.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
Finish.
we have provided not only hope, but we have provided access to empower your own self.
All right.
Before
So
you go-
thank you very much. Sorry, you've got a hold. We have.
Look,
I got to stick to the rules. We are going to take a break after. Listen, we didn't get to a quarter of what we were supposed to get to, but the discussion has been really good. After the break, we're going to tackle a bit of infrastructure, healthcare access, affordability, crime, fear of crime. And I'm going to throw in a little something there about Grand Bahama. Stay with us. We are on the record. We're going to be back right after this. All right, welcome back to On the Record. This is segment 2. Listen, it's the off-camera conversation. We just with the camera rolling. But anyhow, in this segment, we have a lot to get to within a short time. We're going to talk about the quality of life and public trust. We're also still with our roundtable, folks. Everybody met you in the first segment. I'm not going to waste time on that again. One question we did not get to in the last segment was really the situation in Grand Bahama. The Grand Lucayan redevelopment, which is really the anchor project for tourism in Grand Bahama in many ways. And I want to talk about really what is happening in Grand Bahama, the state of the Grand Lucayan, and given an opportunity to fix, what would you do? Sharmaine, I'm going to start with you.
What we are going to do is not sell that hotel The Bahamian people, I believe, have great skills.
So you're
We are gonna
given
keep
the
it-
opportunity, you would keep that as a government
As a
hotel.
government-owned hotel, we're going to own that hotel. We're going to allow the persons in Grand Bahama to actually be stakeholders in that hotel. Allow them to own it. Then they would have, they're already great people in tourism. So we're going to have them to really share in this great experience, because I don't know who in the world is this off another sale. We just had a grand opening the other day about a purchaser, and now we come back, we have another, looking for another buyer. This is a perpetuation of the same failed policies of these governments.
Also, too, the government would have announced a partnership of sorts with an energy company coming to Grand Bahama. Your take on that? There's already been some pushback on that, but your take on that and what that could mean for the island?
We have to solve the issue of energy. Again, we are always looking outside when we could solve this inside, right? Bahamians in Freeport in Grand Bahama, I believe, are very skilled and capable and competent enough so that we can organize this hotel, because it's been back and forth. We can organize the sale of this hotel to the residents and even to the Bahamian people. It can pay us. And this is our problem. We always want to continually find for foreign investors, but they always come in, but they don't have a real stake in this hotel. So let's stop this trying to sell this hotel that seems like it can't be sold. And let's keep the hotel, let's own it, and let's turn it into one of the greatest tourism products the Bahamas has ever had.
Denarii, it was your FNM government under the Minister administration that took this on as a government-owned hotel with a view to getting it sold. You're out of power. The hotel remains unsold. The problems continue. Grand Bahama has given the FNM its support consistently. And here we are with that island's economy still faltering in many ways, despite some glimmers of hope. I won't say that it's all gloom and doom, but there are glimmers of hope. But if given an opportunity, what will the FNM do differently?
Well, the FNM in the last administration, we actually had a buy-up, but as everybody keep forgetting, we had Dorian and COVID that devastating, never seen before in nowhere in the region, and so that shifted the government priorities. Again, the PLP stopped that particular sale or that agreement and went another way. So we were
saying the PLP stopped the agreement?
No. So the initial agreement with the Grand Lucayan sale is not the same on the table now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We accept that.
So what I'm saying
yes.
is we already had an agreement in place that we feel as if they had continued with, we wouldn't be here to this day. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is we will now, obviously, we have to look at a potential buyer to secure the Grand Lucayan Hotel. We have both governments, as you say, have talked about it didn't get done, but this particular government has had the opportunity for 4.5 years, so much so they had a grand rally and announcement. They carried the whole cabinet down there, a whole demolition of the window, just for no money to hit the bank. I don't know what all that's about. But the reality of it is now, the incoming government has to get the immediate work. We have to secure a funder, a buyer
but
for the hotel.
Is the hope of Grand Bahama just tied to the Grand
No, I just was
Lucayan?
going to expand. Outside of that, we're looking at now the completion of the hospital. That's a big issue there as well. That was another agreement we left in place that this government didn't follow through. They promised work, they didn't get it done. But what we're going to do is now we're going to develop we committed to delivering the diagnostic equipment, the expansion of the hotel, the tearing down and upgrading of the actual morgue at the RAN to make sure that is good. We've committed to state-of-the-art parks and facilities where we're going to now have community gardens and have the, tech hubs. We're going to create some tech hubs in these areas. So Marco City will be the example we use to start the tech hubs, to have classes for young people and the likes, training and so on and so forth. We're looking at complete infrastructure overall, whether it's lighting, roadway repair, investing furthermore in entrepreneurship. It's a long list of things we have to get to work immediately. And like you said, it's easy to say talking now, but once successful, we'll outline it and we'll just get to work. Because the only thing we have to do is get to work, because saying it is hard for the people of Grand Bahama who are actually feeling this pinch. So they need action.
Carl, I defer to you now. This has been a very contentious situation between the government of the Bahamas and the Grand Bahama Port Authority, so much so that they are now in arbitration to come to some conclusion over what has been a very contentious situation. But again, what do the people of Grand Bahama have to look forward to should the PLP be returned to office? What's going to be done differently?
Well, amazingly, when Mr. Denarii said that the FNM had a buyer or had an agreement on the table to buy, but Doreen stopped it. I don't understand. I don't understand how that went. But I don't understand how you could have a buyer, an agreement in place, but paying $1.5 million around there every month for the upkeep of a hotel that you say an agreement was in place to buy. One of the things I don't accept that. I don't accept that because if you had a buyer, government would not have spent so much money.
Again, my question is, second term of the PLP, what can Grand Bahama look forward to?
However, there's major investments going on in Grand Bahama today. You have the cruise port expansion. The Grand Udaijah is sold. However, government is working with its partners to do the infrastructure development. It is my understanding, as of this morning, ground preparations has commenced for the redevelopment of the airport there. Some $100 million is going to be pumped into the airport. And then, we are building a new hospital in Grand Bahama. And there's a medical school going in Grand Bahama. And so investments are coming out of the ground.
A new hospital going in Grand Bahama? I didn't know that. So sorry.
Yes.
A new hospital going in Grand Bahama for you?
So investments are coming out of the ground, right? Grand Bahama has been in a state of disrepair for a very long time. And one of the things that they complained about is the cost of electricity as well. That's a mortgage payment. When I saw some of the bills online,
those of us in Nassau have the same complaint.
But
I want to put that out there. It's high everywhere, sir.
Grand Bahama has it worse than Nassau. If we be real,
every family island has it worse than Nassau.
Grand Bahama in particular has it worse than Nassau, right? And I want to commend the government because the first time in history any government has attempted to fully address the electricity concerns in there. With the MOU signing to acquire the Grand Bahama Power Company. I believe that's a step in the right direction because it is unfair for the rest of the Bahamas to be going through this energy transformation and Grand Bahama to be left out paying these exorbitant costs of electricity. So, the negotiations are in its early stages. It's an MOU signed, and we look forward to seeing it come to fruition. And then you talk about the arbitration between the government of the Bahamas and the Port Authority, which should come to an end very soon. And we spoke in the earlier segment about government leaking hemorrhage. And it is beyond me that governments has allowed the port to owe the government so many money in taxes. And it is unfair, in my estimation, for you as a government to come down on the poor people paying tax and you leave the big companies alone. And so I appreciate the fairness straight across the board. Just because you may be making $1 billion, don't exempt you from the rules. And I believe that's the kind of Bahamas that we desire to see.
I want to move now to infrastructure. And you brought it up, and it's interesting that was my next topic. The state of our country's infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired. And again, I don't want, if I'm fair, the infrastructure didn't just deteriorate in the last 4 years. It has been in a situation of deterioration. Roads in particular are awful. People are complaining consistently. And, the question is, how are you going, or what is the plan to address our deteriorating infrastructure? I want to draw reference to the roads because those are the things that we face every day. We also look at the issues of flooding that are consistent as we get into more and more severe weather. And so people are looking for, answers. Reliable electricity. You talk about the cost of electricity, and when you look at what we're paying for electricity sometimes versus what's being delivered, there is a huge delta. And again, these are questions that I'm sure candidates are facing as they walk into homes every day. People say, when you go fix the roads, when the power can get better, when the electricity can come down, my area is flooded. These are real concerns. So again, Kyle, I'm going to start with you. How is the party facing into those questions as they go door to door, as candidates are fielding those questions from concerned voters?
Well, I would say this. when we took office, the roads were already deteriorating. And then
In all fairness, you're right. Yes, they've been deteriorating.
and then I don't want to say wholeheartedly, because it would be unfair to say it was the neglect of human minutes. We were in a crisis. We had to divert funds. We had to prioritize, and some things were just left undone, right? Because some are priorities. So the reality is, when you had 3 years or so of almost 5 years of just poor infrastructural upkeep, then the next government, whoever it would have been them for the second term, us who came in 2021, would have had to deal with it. I've been down in, let's, for an example, Long Island. I've been out on Long Island several times. Every road on Long Island is bad. I mean, if you've been there,
Historically bad. It's not a new thing.
Island.
The first time they got paved roads, I think it was in the mid-90s.
So again, imagine this. The government has signed an agreement to pave the roads in Long Island, right? So imagine, like you said, from the 90s, they have not been paved. Now you have to spend a lot of money trying to build those roads. There are a lot of pavements going on now, all in the city in Lancaster. I just riding through there yesterday, coming from Collins Avenue, day before yesterday. I was like, Jesus, God, is paving every road around here. So you see the work is being done. But I believe one of the things that we are faced with across the island and across the islands is flooding. You could pave road as much as you want, you could patch roads, but as long as water is able to settle, in science we learn that water is the universal solvent. That means it can almost dissolve anything. So if the water beats down on the asphalt and it sits, it is a very high chance that it could eat it out, and then you back to square one. So I believe as we deal with the road infrastructure, we need to find ways and means to deal with flooding straight across the islands based on how we are set up geographically and based on the topography studies. We need to deal with it.
As a Sharmaine, I'm going to come to you next week. I just want to say this to you, as a voter, and this has nothing to do with politics, as a voter, I don't need to wait 4.5 years for you to pave my road.
Thank you.
As elections are around the corner.
That's what
and I would say that to you. And whether it was planned or it's coincidence, or it always looks, the optics of it is always bad. And I say it to both parties, it happens I always know an election coming. The road go paved, this could happen.
That's right.
And voters are watching those things. All right, I will just say that to you. And this isn't a dig just at the BLB. This is a dig at governance. People see it all the time.
But
all right?
Can I
share
this in response to that? In fairness to governments, not just the PLB, fairness to governments, it's a do or die situation. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. One, if you continue works on the election, people say you're doing it because of the election. If you don't do it, people say, but you ain't doing it.
You have 5 years to do it.
But
I don't understand. I don't understand that point.
Understand this, right? Roads don't just start paving 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 months out the election.
They may not start, but they definitely increase. Let me just say this. Next month I will be 54 years old. I have to say it because sometimes I have to put things from a child. I remember whenever we are heading into elections, the country changes, things happen. And I just say this to all people who are running for office and who are in, vying for politics, whether you in or you trying to get in, you out trying to get back in. Voters see it.
They see it.
They are well aware of it. And what gets me, and I'm going to say this because I have the opportunity to say it, what bothers me about this is the same things that we as a people accused the UBP of in the 60s.
Thank you.
Coming to voters at the last minute with a bag of rice. We continue to do it, but we show up in a different way. And I stand firm on that. We show up in a different way, but the same things that we said we want majority rule and independence to fix continue 51 years later. And that's all I would say. And I put that at the feet of all governments. I see it over and over again. So if you come to me 6 months out from an election and decide to pave my road, That's
Suspect.
my bag of rice.
Suspect.
And I stand firm on that.
Suspect.
And I don't put that at any particular party. It's something that we do.
It's cultural.
See, the mindset,
It's cultural.
If I may,
All right, go
Jerome, the mindset of governance is what the problem is. Because this is why the COI has really been birthed. We honestly and quite truly, we really did not want to get into politics. Believe me, I'm a preacher and a teacher. This was not something I wanted to get involved with. When I went and did things in my community, I didn't put it on the news. I didn't make it an issue. I just did it because it's something we do. So the COI,
admire you all for getting into politics.
yeah, we have to. See, Jerome, if we don't do it, we will continue to get what we have been getting for the last 50 odd years. And at the end of the day, these two gentlemen can sit here and say whatever they want, but the evidence speaks.
So our question is about infrastructure after my soapbox minute.
The COI is not going to wait until an election. Day one, we are coming ready to deal with flooding. One of the main issues with flooding is a lack of the infrastructure that in particular the drainage. Some places are built on higher levels than others, and it seems like because those subdivisions were built, the water is sent down maybe to the area where it ain't as
We are
posh.
indiscriminately clearing land as well, which is a big concern.
All kinds of crazy. So the COI, this is why we have come forth with, a myriad of professional, qualified candidates who are going to stand. We are regular behaviors.
Challenge you on something.
Go ahead.
Infrastructure requires money.
Okay,
It requires
now here we
millions
go.
and millions and millions of dollars to build roads, to
fix
do
it, to do
flooding,
this, to do that.
to get in, to mitigate flooding. to do all of these things that carry.
I am so glad you went there
people
because
are already heavily taxed. How are you going to fund these projects?
So I am so glad because I have to address something that Kyle said earlier. He mentioned the COI having these grandiose ideas and plans. Well, I'm going to right here today put it out there, and I'm going to send a challenge to the PLP and the FNM to debate the natural resources and their true value. This is where I believe education has failed. Because if these gentlemen sitting here want to call our natural resources a dream, it tells me that they were not properly educated as to the true value of the natural resources of the Bahamas. And I'm sending this challenge to both of you. Bring your best, your so-called, your experts or whoever you want to bring, and let's debate it so that at the end of the day, the Bahamian people can know for real what the true value.
Maybe have a show on that.
Because the natural resources needs to be debated. The people need to know what we have in this country that can facilitate the building of whatever infrastructure the Bahamas
I've got to
needs.
get you in on this conversation. Your colleagues here have done a good job. Now it's on you, and I throw the same hardball at you.
Yes, sir.
The FNM is not vying to get in office for the first time.
Yes, sir.
You have had many opportunities, and these problems persist. Roads, electricity, flooding, water.
Well, I don't know if I would wholeheartedly agree. I do accept some of what you do say, but I don't agree in its entirety. Why I say that, I remember in 2012, the PLP was saying Bahamians don't eat road. And that was when 2000 when Ingram was administration, when he did the entire Providence Road Improvement Project. Now we could get from
credit
east
to
to
where
west.
credit is due.
Yes, we could get from east to west within 15 to 20 minutes now.
Now I can say this: we can't split yell in that time.
Yes, I remember. You all were saying businesses were shut down, and but see,
but roads. I too ride on the road, and I say, Lord, I thank you. Many a day.
So when it was first happening, everybody was like, "Oh, this business shutting down, whatever." But the longevity and the long-term effect that it had, I think it was good. When you look at some of the islands, some of the bridges and gymnasiums that were put up in terms of infrastructure, it is the FNM. So I think we have a good track record in regards to the FNM, and I think we're only going to build on that.
So what do you say to voters now? Say, listen, my road's big, bad, I need this, I need. What is the message to voters
now,
today?
Yeah, so today, now that we're forthcoming, in this new administration, again, I go back to the team. When you look at the makeup of the FNM team now, majority of the candidates are fresh faces new to the political arena, right? And this is one of the things. This is one of the things where I think it's a tide shift. So yes, we are the FNM, or of course we can run from our past or our successes. Those are whose shoulders we stand on. Mm-hmm. However, if you look at the makeup of some of these teams, we have engineers, we have community developers, we have an array of people who've already been doing this kind of work in their public life, in their private life, and now they're just bringing it to the public forefront. And so when you look at a person like myself, when you speak to flooding, since you touch flooding, in Pinewood, I've already started to work on, and like you said, not because I am the MP.
God bless you.
Yes, I'm in Pinewood, but not because
honestly,
I'm the MP.
you have my
because
prayers.
you know why? Because it's a passion of mine, being an employee of water and sewage and understanding how infrastructure works. And I've been on record, I've been to town hall meetings offering immediate, cost-effective solutions with the same $150,000 that MPs get per year, that the current MP could use to get some projects going. So just for example, proper drainage maintenance is a immediate relief to the residents in there right now. You have about 50 drains in
You can't
Pinewood.
wait till it's flood to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have about 50 drains in Pinewood that should be maintained monthly. And I ain't talking about just getting a shovel and a bucket and taking the dirt. I'm talking about get your snake, get your high back blowers,
Clear
properly maintain the drains and do it monthly. So much so, not to cut you, but just so much so that we're establishing now, and not the candidate, but I'm setting up my personal team. I'm going to, I identified the drains already. I'm going to make residents aware of this is how your drains should be. No, I'm just saying. What I'm saying to you is, no, because you're talking about what's the F&M plan.
Sure.
So I am on the team. I am an F&M. And
So this is a larger plan.
on the overall scheme of team in our infrastructural plan now.
So-
you have someone that works in infrastructure tied in with the engineer, and we're going to have the overall plan of infrastructure when it comes to drainage.
I will say this to you, and to be fair, you are right. There are many projects that were done when it came to infrastructure under an F&M administration.
Yes.
I think the first 2 terms of the F&M in the 90s, we saw a lot of work done in infrastructure. And I cannot sit here and not give that credit. There was a lot done.
Yes.
The Providence Road Improvement Project was done as well. And I think, all governments, and to be fair, it really was the PLP who put in the infrastructure when first coming into office. So to be fair, I don't want to make a blanket statement. And my concern really was with the deterioration of the infrastructure.
Can I get one more point?
So we out of time. Hold on. No, next time you can say, I want to talk a little bit about healthcare. Very, very important, and the affordability of healthcare. People say it's too expensive. They don't have access to it, or when they do have access to it, it is just not good healthcare. Given the opportunity, Sharmaine, how would the COI begin to address these healthcare issues? Now, we ain't got much time. So, go ahead.
I want to highlight. Well, see now, if we look at the tape, these 2 gentlemen I've given them. They've had more, so I need the last half. That's good.
Go ahead.
So
you got it.
Wow.
I want to give the Bahamas hope, because I believe in our deputy leader, Dr. Veronica McIver, who is a doctor.
My old dentist.
I believe we have someone with the passion to truly affect healthcare in the way that all Bahamians need it. I recently had a family member pass away a few days ago, and I'm very disappointed in I believe the kind of treatment that this person received. I'm not going to call her name, but it's sad to know that I believe someone who's not even a medical doctor. I'm like, come on, man, you all know this should have been done. You all know this should have happened.
How do we fix?
The thing is, we have to fix it first of all with care. It's all going to come back to a heart that cares. First of all, let's get the hospital properly funded. We need a new one. I mean, come on, building a new wing is not a new hospital. And building a glorified clinic.
This government says they're going to build a hospital out.
That's a glorified clinic. As it relates, it's only going to be dealing with women and our issues, right? So what's going to happen to the men? So at the end of the day, let's stop playing around with such an important area. Let's get a brand. I mean, in 52 years, we can't get a new hospital. We have to say, like you said, from the UBP time. That's what we're looking back to. All these Bahamians who are needing proper care. And then let's invest the money where it ought to go. Mm-hmm. We are not putting the money where it needs to go. If you want to get nurses paid, all of it comes back to them being very disenfranchised with their payment. Man, come on.
All right. Denarii, your turn.
Okay, so I will answer from the COI question, because she made a question tied into healthcare. We could debate the natural resources, right? And what's the value?
Yeah, let's debate it.
We could debate that. Mm-hmm. But that don't. Yeah, but if they so happen to be the government today or tomorrow, the money that is out there in natural resources is just gonna not magically.
It's already
end
there.
Up in our bank
But it's
accounts.
already there.
We have to have it. Mm-hmm. So you got to get that funding from wherever the natural resources is to be accessible to do some of the things they're talking about.
We're talking about healthcare now.
Yeah. So when you come to the healthcare sector, this is, in my view, this is where I think the issue is with this particular government is I don't think their priority is in order. Again, I go back to 220 million consulting, 400 in no bid contracts, 10 million to cover bad press. That alone put 700 or almost million.
10 million to cover bad press?
Yeah, there was a story of 10 million they spent to cover bad press to protect our name out there. That's what the deputy Prime Minister stated. So what I'm saying is when we could spend money in luxury like that, this is where we need, I was raised on prior proper planning prevents poor performance. If we could take some of our money and properly invest it into these healthcare issues that we face, infrastructure challenges that we face, these wouldn't be things that we even here to discuss. Governments just need to prioritize, and that's what this incoming FNM government is going to do. We're going to prioritize the healthcare system, and we have already gone on record and saying we're going to get more where there's fire engines, where there's more ambulances where it's needed, where there's putting clinics on every island. We're going to expand when we win because we're going to use the money instead of in the right places instead of.
Carl, you have the last word, sir.
That's the code that we come in.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk.
Let me
We
say
out of
this.
time. Go
Again,
ahead.
I've not heard no plan, but let me say this. A new hospital is coming on stream in New Providence and in Grand Bahama. We see the government has renovated clinics straight across the Family Islands and in New Providence. We see major renovations going on at the Princess Margaret Hospital. We see the initiative of the wellness arm in the Ministry of Health, which is an educational arm that goes into the community and teaches people how to eat right. And they provide checkups, high blood pressure, cholesterol levels, stuff like that. So I believe that in order to fix healthcare, we need a multifaceted approach. In the Bahamas, culturally, we have an unhealthy diet, which is what the wellness unit.
We are unhealthy people.
We are unhealthy people, which is, Dr. Sheena Moss and her team is addressing and educating people. And so when we go into the hospitals are a direct result of our own personal habits. Me, I don't eat a bunch of rice. I try to stick to greens, salads, and meat. That's because I need a healthy body. I exercise.
You in politics, you better be healthy.
So when you look at the fact that a lot of our people have hypertension, a lot of our people are diabetic, a lot of our
non-communicable diseases,
a lot of our people have cancer. These diseases that are stemming directly from what we eat, which is why the government expanded the breadbasket item just to control the prices on the fruits and the vegetables and the healthy meats, etc. And so, I think personally, healthcare needs a better level of accountability. You could increase people's pay, you could get them as much overtime in the millions. But if we do not hold doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals accountable to the poor care that they give people, we could have a new hospitals, we could have new clinics, but we will not have better service.
My brother, you have hit the nail on the head in many ways. We out of time. Go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
And the biggest issue with the healthcare, apart from the infrastructure, is the service that people are provided. When people complain about the hospital, they complain about the treatment that they are getting from other humans.
I think we just heard that. Folks, listen. We are out of time. You know what this means, though? You have to come back. You have to, you want your time, you got to bring it up. All right, so listen, let me just say this. And I thank you for bringing such a spirited conversation today to our viewers. This is what we need. This is the kind of discourse we need to reach our voters and to come to solutions to problems.
Yeah.
There is no, I always say that the solutions are really not just given to one group. And I encourage all of you as you get out there and you talk to voters that you listen, because there are a lot of concerns out there. And however the elections go at the end of the day after the election, we are still Bahamians. And we still only have this one country. And whomever gets it, you have a job to do. There are lots of problems to be fixed. And so I admire you for putting yourself forward for political office. It is something that I think is so needed. You represent hope, all of you. You represent hope for the country, and I thank you. I wish you the best. You got to come back.
It's a pleasure.
Of course.
All right, good stuff. And if you win, don't forget your boy, eh? All right, thank you very much. We're going to have our closing thoughts in just a moment. You're watching On the Record. Tonight was what about voters are carrying: financial pressure, service frustrations, safety concern, and a real desire for leadership that feels grounded in everyday life. With the 2026 general election ahead, these conversations matter because democracy isn't just about a ballot. It's about whether people feel heard before they ever reach the polling station. Many thanks to our guests for joining us and for keeping the discussion focused on the issues. And thank you, and those of you who are watching from home, for your questioning and for staying engaged. I'm Jerome Sawyer, and this has been The Record.